trend, but I became a coach in February of 2012. So I'm literally coming up on my 6-year anniversary. And there have been so many ups and downs in this business, as with life. And I feel that through social media, we look at some of these top coaches, these coaches who've been around for a long time and have these profound whys, and we can measure, start to measure our success and what we're in it for up against them. And really, this business is not like anything else, but in the same sense, it's also just like any other job. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be highs and lows. That even though you see people with great stories, transformation, where it comes from physical, health-wise, or mind, the mindset being changed, it still doesn't mean that this business is perfect. Even though we do a lot of personal development, a lot of connecting, there's ups and downs. And I don't think that a lot of people talk about that. And so a lot of people, when they hit those walls, when those obstacles come up, when things don't work that used to work anymore, they give up. And so my story in general, from day one of my life, has always been one about being very relentless and never giving up. I, of course, growing up, as a young child and a young adult, thought that everything that had came my way was happening to me and not for me. And I thought that I was stuck in a mentality where I was always the victim, and I was very angry. And but now looking back, because my mindset's changed because of everything that Beachbody has had to offer, I realized that those things were happening for me, and that those very things that happened to me are what made me who I am today, who I'm extremely proud of, and has been my redeeming quality, is that I'm relentless, that I don't give up in the face of opposition. I don't give up when bad stuff happens. And when I got started with coaching, I really didn't ever think that I would, number one, be home in the middle of a Tuesday to be able to talk to anybody, let alone ever feel like I had have the guts or anything valuable to share with people on a video conference call. So I didn't get started in this business to leave my job. I didn't get started in this business to make 6 figures. I didn't get in this business to be a star diamond, anything. I didn't get in this business. I got into it by complete accident. I was somebody who was lost. And so like a little background on me, and I'll run through it, and there's a lot. But I was adopted at 9 months old. I was born in Korea, shipped over to the U.S., and stuck with this white couple that definitely there was a reason why they didn't have children and should not have had children. I was raised in a very abusive household. It wasn't that, oh, you're so lucky you're adopted. I never felt love. I was abused mentally, emotionally, physically, from my father and my mother, sexually abused and from other people. I always try to separate that so people don't think that my adopted family did that. But I left home at 15. I had lots of issues with relationships. I've been married 3 times. I do feel like I've gotten it right this time. I've been married 8 years. I have 3 kids by every marriage, and I have worked over 40 some odd jobs. I have a criminal record. I'm 2 years sober. I gave up alcohol 2 years ago. But I have a lifelong struggle with drugs, alcohol, nicotine, anything that was consumable, I consumed, and consumed in large quantities, and became addicted to them. So, but it really, looking at all those things, that this Beachbody was exactly what I needed. I needed somebody to give me a family, to give me that unconditional love. I needed somewhere to belong, and I needed some path, some steps, the tools to help me heal and make me feel like I was worthy. I needed to make sure that I had something that was good in my life to get addicted to. And so I can't be upset about my addictive personality, because that's really what drew me to Beachbody, is that whenever I started working out and I felt great, I became addicted to the feeling. I have become addicted to the camaraderie, to the community, to the leveling up and the positivity. And so I am glad that I'm an all or nothing person, because I've been all Beachbody for 6 years. And I've looked at it in the past and been like, God, it really sucks that I'm one of those all or nothing people. But I'm like, but that brought me this. And so, there are good and bad things to every thing that you do, and you have to look for the things that you're grateful for. You have to look at the wonderful things that come even in the midst of bad. But when I was really had hit, like, not only rock bottom, but like I would say rock bottom has a basement. Like I hit that basement. My husband and I were just really destroyed people that when we got together, we had an affair. We got together and we thought like, oh, this is the answer. We leave our crappy relationships with these people. He had a really crappy wife. I had an ex-husband that was so amazing that I just didn't feel like I ever was worthy of it. So I self-sabotaged that happiness and I sabotaged our family. But we thought we would get together and everything would be great. Well, obviously the grass is not greener on the other side. And he was dealing with some major grief and PTSD. I was just dealing with life stacking up on me. And then you take the compounding factor that we made a huge I'm not going to say mistake because we're deeply in love and we're doing great, but a decision that really affected so many more people than just ourselves in a small town. It was really devastating, but, out of hard-headedness, we stayed together. We, worked it out for the most part. We just went through the motions. We were drinking heavily, recreational drugs, fighting all the time when we weren't drinking. And then we had all these little lives. He has 2 kids. I have 2 kids. And then we have our son together. And our son was one. Things were just really bad. He was an overspender because he wasn't happy. I was a controlling person because I was trying to make sure that I was certain everything was going to turn out the way that I thought it should. And obviously looking through, lenses that were just very foggy. And he ended up working out of town 7 days at a time, coming home maybe 2 or 3 days at a time. And we drank the whole time and we were miserable. We had talked about splitting up. He threatened to take my son. He really wasn't going to follow through, but I didn't know. I had a mental breakdown. I literally broke out in this rash, head to toe. Still, the doctors can't even explain it, but I'll tell you, stress and nerves are a huge detriment to your health. But I had like scars all over my skin for like 2 years afterward. My blood pressure was through the roof. It was insane. And it was so peaceful when he left, but it was also so sad because I was basically raising 3 kids on my own. Then he would come home, every other weekend, and his kids would come and just destroy our whole routine. And I was just miserable. And I remember just thinking to myself, I wasn't really a religious person or a spiritual person, but just basically, in essence, praying like, somebody please help me. And I look now at what I know spiritually, what I know about the universe, I know about manifesting, attracting good things. Like how many times I wished and hoped for great things and asked for help in my life, but always pushed it away when it was, the opportunity was presented. But somehow this time the opportunity presented itself and I didn't push it away. My coach, Becky Brosette, I don't know how familiar you are with coaches in the organization. She came to me in my newsfeed. She was doing P90X2 and so was her sister Christina. Back in the day, they did the same program together, which actually we are all doing the same program now, but back in the day, it was like whatever program one was doing, the other one was doing, they were both doing P90X2. These abs popped up in my newsfeed and I was like, holy cow, like I have never seen anybody with abs like that. I had to see the P90X commercial and I do remember coming home drunk from the bar one night, seeing the commercial and I'd never heard of P90X. I told my husband, I was like, what? I'm like, does that even work? He was like, I heard it does. He was like, but it's really hard. Nobody ever finishes it. And I'm like, look at those people. And honestly, now looking back, it was probably like Tracy Morrow and a bunch of people that I actually know now. But I remember I'm like, those people, I'm like, all they do all day long is work out. That's probably what they do for a living. Kind of funny now. I do it for a living, not that I work out all day long, but in my mind, I didn't think it was possible. So I saw this lady with abs and I went to her profile just like any stalker would do and was like combing through her profile and she had the follow option. And now looking at it, like following and requesting as a friend aren't really much different, but I followed her and I combed through her page and I had a job that I hated. So I would just like scroll Facebook all day long. And I looked at her profile, her sister Christina's profile and her husband's profile. And I was like, as far as back as I could scroll, I mean, I was looking at albums and looking through all this stuff. They were like this fit family. I remember seeing a picture of her husband Larry doing the crow on the side of their couch. I remember seeing them dressed up in their Dallas Cowboys outfits going for Halloween, and they were like fit, and they had little kids that were the boys are like 15 months apart, 15 or 17 months apart, and they're just a little bit older than my son Rebel, who's 7. And my son was 1 when I got started doing this, and I remember thinking, wow. And what was amazing is like I always remember my husband saying like that is a really hard program. Nobody ever finishes it. And everything that she had, shirts, she had the boogie board that she won as a Success Club prize way back in the day. and it had P90X on it. She had P90X signs in her gym. And I was like, who is this person? Like, there's no way. Like, how does somebody love working out and something this hard? Never tried it. And so I was super intrigued that, like, not only did I not know but somebody, but I actually saw a real person that wasn't a trainer or somebody that's a famous, celebrity, but just a normal person who actually had abs and loved working out. And I watched her, and long story short, I friended her. She reached out to me and said, like, hey, if you need any help with fitness, let me help you. And I was like, yeah, no. And then, like, randomly the next day, I'm like, well, tell me about P90X. And she talked me into a challenge pack. I didn't even know what I was getting. I planned on returning it. And I was going to return it within 30 days. I was going to get my money back. I was like, I'm going to drink 30 servings of Shakeology. I have 30 free meals. I didn't understand nutrition or anything, but I was like, oh, 30 free meals. I returned it. I wrote it down the calendar, and then I got started. But I also knew realistically, like, I thought that it wouldn't work or wouldn't work for me, even though she made me believe that it did work. But I didn't believe it worked for me. Again, this is the feeling of worthiness. I didn't feel like I was worthy of those results. I didn't think I was capable. I thought it was for somebody special. I didn't understand what that I was capable of success and good things just like her. I always thought that people were born into it or destined for it. But I did understand, too, that even though I didn't think that I could do it or I'd get great results, I knew that I had to give it a fair shot. So I actually promised myself that I would go through 3 weeks, like drink my shake every day and work out. Even if it took 2 hours to get a workout done, I would get it done. And so when I got started, that very night, she texted me wanting to make sure I was getting started. And I remember thinking, like, oh, I'm not just a number. Like, she actually cares. It wasn't like, I'm just going to sell you something and leave. And I'll tell you, when we had gotten on the phone when I was having an issue with my order, and it totally blew me away, because if you don't know the sisters, they're Cuban, but if you look at them on Facebook, they look like just typical white chicks. Like, and then I got her on the phone. She's got this heavy Cuban accent. It's not so bad anymore. Maybe I've gotten used to it, but I was like, I told her this a couple years ago, I'm like, I thought you were scamming me. I'm like, there was this person with this Hispanic accent. I'd never met Cubans. I didn't understand. So I was really leery, and I thought that I was going to get scammed. So it's really a funny story, but she ended up helping me. And, long story short, we were at Leadership this past week or so, and our friend Tulin, I'm sure a lot of you know who she is. We were all talking because we were in the 80-day obsession group, and she was talking about how we were super fit, and it just hit me, and I started crying because I'm like, my coach helped me get what I wanted. Like I said, I didn't start out in this business to make money. I didn't start out in this business I didn't think I could inspire anybody. I didn't start in this business to accomplish anything that I haven't accomplished, other than I wanted to feel good about myself. And she made me believe that a mom could be fit. And so to 6 years later, know that I am considered super fit, even though because I asked Lynn, I'm like, I'm not super fit. She's like, yeah, you are. And I'm like, really? And then Becky's like, yeah, you are. And I really think back to what her role was. It's like, she didn't know that we'd become best friends. She didn't know any of this, but she knew that I wanted results and that I wanted to feel good about myself. And she helped me do that. And 6 years later, she's still helping me do that. And so that's my message that I've been really sharing with people, is that ask people what their goals are, because most people who I've talked to who've stayed in this business or who've had success in this business, none of them started out thinking that they would ever be able to achieve this. They had a certain goal. And so many people get lost because they're trying to accomplish their new goals of Star Diamond or Elite or whatever it is, but if they're new goals that weren't even your goals in the beginning, and then all of a sudden you find these people and you try to plug them in to become the people that help you reach these goals. And she just treated me like a human being. She treated me with love and respect and kindness, and she helped me get what I wanted. And no matter what, like, her and I had this conversation recently. She's like, are you going for Elite? Because her and I aren't. And I was like, no. She's like, you have more points than me. You probably could do this if you want. I said, it's not my goals in this year. It hasn't been important. And she was like, okay, I just wanted to make sure that, if anything changed. I was like, no. And so, but no matter what has happened, because I missed Elite 1 year, and that I'll get to that how that's my comeback. But 2015, I didn't hit Elite, but she stayed on top of me and made sure that when I had a really hard time, that she helped me get back on track. She just finished the Hammer and Chisel test group, and she was helping me get prepared for that and help me get back on track. She didn't say, like, all right, let's get back in the game. Let's figure out how you're going to hit Elite. Let's get you back here, there. It was never about that. It's always been about the results. It's always been about fitness. And she turned me into exactly who I wanted to be and why I sought her out was to become super fit. And the fact that she's never abandoned me when I've been abandoned by so many people is so amazing to me, that she stuck by me for 6 years. And she told me at leadership, I went and stayed with her in May for like a whole week. We were doing the Shift Shop test group. We just spent a lot of time together because we couldn't really go do a lot because we were following a very strict meal plan. But she told me the other day, she was like, the highlight of my year was whenever you came to visit me. And I mean, I was like, it still makes me emotional because I'm like, I'm not important to her. And that's the type of role that she's maintained in my life. That is why I'm still here in the role that I'm trying to fulfill and be in other people's life. So that's my history of how I became a coach. But in 2015, I was a 2-time elite. I was making really good money. But I'll tell you, like, those things didn't make me happy. And I do believe that Beachbody provided the vehicle for me to heal and to figure things out, because they started talking in 2014 about, if you're exhausting your warm market, to reach out to groups, to find things that you have people that are in common with you. So I started typing in like adoptee stuff. And I had earlier that year looked into my adoption, because my adopted parents had sealed records, would never told me anything. And I needed to get a passport to get on the cruise that we were going on it was 2013 I looked for it, sorry, because 2014 was the cruise. So I already started digging into it because my parents would not give me my naturalization papers, so I couldn't get my passport. So I went through this 10-month thing that honestly was all because of Beachbody, because I could have been like, yeah, I'm not going to go because I can't get a passport, because I'd done that before in past trips. But I was like, no, this means something to me. It'd be my second Success Club trip, because everything changed when we went to Disney the year before. And I was like, I want to bring my husband on this. I want to do this, because we were going to go stay with Becky in Miami before we set sail. And so I worked hard for it. So then once I kind of opened that door, I was like, opening doors I'd never even thought about opening. And then 2014 rolled around and they started talking about joining these groups. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I started joining adoptee groups. And boy, it was so therapeutic, because I realized I wasn't the only one out there who had a crappy childhood. I wasn't the only one out there who'd been ridiculed because she didn't fit into an Asian community. She sure didn't fit into a white community. And so I felt great. But when I opened up those doors and I didn't have the right things in place, and then I'll be the first to admit, I stopped doing personal development, because, you get great results from P90X, you get great results from, personal development, and then you're like, oh, I got this. And then you stop doing the stuff that got you there. And then you're like, oh no, I'm 20 pounds overweight again. My mind's all screwed up. That's where I was. So I felt like I was unstoppable. I was successful. I was making good money. People were influenced by me. I felt like my mindset had just, done amazing things. And then I started opening up these doors I wasn't prepared for. Then my husband, you take all these years of stuff happening. He had a major shoulder injury, so his career was. So he's really happy for his wife being successful, but his success is here. That causes a lot of problems. We had teenage kids at the time, stepkids. It was not a pretty thing. The ex-wife was crazy. We just had craziest. And then we started partying again. We had cut alcohol out. Our son was young and we'd gotten really healthy, but then our son was older. We had more flexibility. We started traveling with Beachbody, and we party with everybody. And so that kind of opened up that door. It's like, once you're a partier and you stop, it's one thing if you stop and pull back, but once you open up that door, you go back into that thing. So I thought, oh, I'm partying on these trips. Well, I can party at home. Well, then in your backyard, it becomes very accessible. And so we started partying. And so one thing led to the other, where we had all this just pent up anger, resentment, all these different things. So I didn't think he was pulling his weight, and it ended up in us separating in June of 2015, 2 days after my son's birthday, a month before Summit. And I went to live with a friend that was really causing a lot of issues. And we went to Summit together, even though we were separated. He came back. He ended up getting arrested because he wanted to kill himself. I mean, it was crazy. It was like the most horrific year of my life. And I pretty much just shut down. I stopped working out. Where I was living, it was very difficult to work out. But I mean, I was drinking Shakeology a couple days a week, but I just felt like a failure. My daughters moved in with their father. My son and I were living on an air mattress at our friend's house. My husband was living in our house by himself. He went to jail. He was in therapy. I mean, all these things horrible had happened. And I remember my whole why had been centered around my family. My why had been to make sure that I could come home and be home with my family, which I did. And I still, it's been 4 years now that I've been home with my family, and it fired my boss. And I'm still living off that joy and excitement from that. Like that, I don't think will ever go. I'm so proud of myself. And I still feel so blessed to be home. But my whole life had been surrounded by family. And then I'm like, my daughters live with their father. My family, the only family I'd had, the longest family I'd had, is ripped apart. My husband's cuckoo. I'm cuckoo. Like, I didn't know where to go. And I was so embarrassed. I was so deeply embarrassed. And I knew nobody was judging me, but I also felt like I failed everybody. And that's when Becky reached out to me, and she was like, her husband Larry had kept checking in on me and my husband. So Christina, like, everybody checked in on me. Like, when my husband and I separated, my whole team sent me flowers. Like, they weren't saying congratulations on separating from your husband, but they were just like, we're here from you. And I had been such an amazing coach to them that they all held together. Like, my income never dropped, surprisingly. I had a coach go diamond because there was a team. I mean, literally like 5 coaches from with our organization who I'd become friends with said, drop me in your team page. We'll run your team page. They ran trainings for me. It was insane. And I felt, again, so humbled by it, but also so unworthy. Like, what did I do to deserve this? You know, me being amazing to other people was just normal. Like, I was just a giver. But I remember Becky saying, like, you know, Mindy, we need to get back on track. And so that's what she said, let's get on this call with Barbie Kalev that they were doing. And I don't even remember what was said, but I just remember being like that was like a game changer. Like, this is where I belong. I was sitting in my car outside my friend's house, listening to it on Zoom. I had my camera off because I was just a mess. And then I went to leadership, even though I didn't feel like I belonged there. And that's when I made this decision that I was going to try to get sober. And everybody super honored me that I was, you know, trying to get sober. They supported me. And then Becky said, well, let's get a plan in place for you to be ready for Hammer and Chisel, because they know that when it launches, it's going to change your life. And so I came back from leadership, and I would already been, you know, working out kind of per her. She told me, like, do 21 Day Fix Extreme, do this. I was down. On the state of the day, I saw that I was down like 13 pounds, like already from September to after leadership. And I was getting prepared. I had something, a vision. I had something to go towards, and I'd been accepted with love and kindness and no judgment from all these people, which is exactly what I would do to anybody else. But it was so amazing to know that I went to leadership. I came back. I made the declaration that I was going to get sober. The next week after leadership, we went to my coach Becky's. She paid for me to come there. We celebrated her 15-star diamond. We partied like hard. The last time I drank was at her house. We partied for like 16 hours straight. I mean, if you've been in Miami, they know how to party. And that was like the last hoorah. Like, I quit drinking, and they're big partiers, but they are so supportive of me and such my biggest fans of my sobriety. And they've always made sure that they honor my wishes and are respectful of it, but they helped me get back on track. And so to finish my story of comeback was last year in 2016, I said that I was going to hit elite. Like, I didn't care about elite. I didn't care about the perks. I didn't care about it, but I wanted to show everybody in my team and anybody who'd been following me that you could make a comeback. That you could make a comeback. And I worked hard. And there were some dips and valleys of depression, and some people had, you know, bailed on me and, you know, kind of triggered that abandonment stuff that I had going on. But I kept going, and Becky kept working with me, and we worked together. And there were times that me and her didn't think we were going to hit elite, but we pushed each other, and we worked together. And I will never forget the last week when the last elite report came out, and then there was like this window that we had to wait till the final numbers came in. I went down to the wire of like, what is it going to take? Because I'm sorry, I'm not really good with numbers. I'm just a doer and then figure it out later. I didn't understand really how many points I would need. So Brittany at corporate was like, you need this and this and this and this. And I rallied together the whole team. And I remember it was like December 27th. And so many people that were in elite groups with me, they were just like, oh, it's over. You know, it's over. You know, we did the best we could. And they were like, party time. It's, you know, we're going to enjoy our the last couple days of the year. And I remember that we were ranked like 400 something. And I told the team, like, I was like, I've always wanted to end in the top 1,000, but I was like, we can do this. Like, come on. And so when everybody else was partying, our team pulled together. I had 17 coaches hit Success Club in the month of December, which is record breaking for December. Record breaking considering that it was like December 27th to like, or it was like that Friday through whatever it was through the end of the year. It was like 2.5 days, but we pulled it together. And then it was like, we hurry up and wait. And I remember one of my coaches was like, she did it. And then people were messaging her like, well, she doesn't know she did it. So don't you think that's presumptuous that you post that? Like, I hope she doesn't, get her hopes up. And people were messaging me for like, there's no way you can do this. Like somebody's husband had told me like, I see your points. There's no way you can do it. And I'm like, well, I'm going to try. I'm not going to give up until the clock strikes, 11:59 and we can't do it anymore. And so we kept going and we kept going and we kept going. And then I told everybody, I was like, I don't care if we don't hit elite. I don't even care. I'm like, because if we do hit elite or make elite or miss elite, it's going to literally be like a point or two at this point, what I calculated. I was like, so it'd be kind of like a bummer or a big woohoo, but I was like, I already felt like we did what we did. I showed up till the last minute. I pushed and I did the 2 millimeter shift that Tony Robbins talks about. It's just that little adjustment you have to make. And it was mid-January. I was picking up my stepdaughter and one of my diamond coaches flew in for Super Saturday. And we stopped to get something to eat. And then I got the message from Brittany saying, can you jump on a Zoom call? And I knew we hit elite. And so we were like screaming in this restaurant. People were looking at us like we were crazy. And then they were like, stop. And then Brittany started crying. She's like, I just need to tell you this. She was like, where you ended the year. And I was like, I thought nothing could top this. We ended as team 199 ranked out of the company. And so it was like 460 of what we were projected on December 27th. And I just thought that's that 2 millimeter shift. When people gave up, oh no, I think we were 700. I don't remember. It was like in the hundreds. There was a huge gap. But I just remember thinking like, all these people gave up on December 27th. They went and partied. They went and did their own thing. They pretty much said we did all we could. And we kept going. And I'm glad that I'm sober, because if I wasn't sober, I would have been more worried about partying. I will say that. But we did it. And I just think that all those couple hundred people in between 199 and I don't remember if it was 400 or 700. But anyways, those teams that were closer than me, they gave up. And we kept going. And we came back. And my whole year of 2016 was every setback is just another way for you to make a comeback. And that was it. And so this year it wasn't that important I hit elite, because I already proved it to everybody, because I'm still standing, because I'm not pushing, pulling, and dragging anybody, because I'm not embarrassed of any of the things that I've missed. I'm not embarrassed that I'm not going to be elite this year, because I'm still here and I'm still doing what I said that I was going to do for me, and my coach is still doing for me what she said she was going to do, and we're still here locking arms. And I shared with the team last night, I'm like, we're 400, ranked 470 or something. And I'm like, I'm not going for elite this year, but I just wanted to let you know that I wasn't going to push, pull, or drag anybody. And so everybody who's here, who helped us get to that slot within the organization, I'm happy. I'm happy that you're here because you want to be. And we're going to keep going, and I'm going to be here 10 years from now, and I hope you are too. And so that's my story of comeback. That's my story of persistence, relentlessness, and just bleeding Beachbody Blue, and a story that I'm never going to give up. It's not about elite. It's not about any of these things. It's about being here and still standing up for what feels right. And that was helping people and creating a community for people who want to be part of the community. There's been a lot of people who've left, and I just really truly believe it's because they didn't believe that they belonged. And I want to make sure that I create that space for people.
I want to stand up and cheer for you. Okay, team, those of you who think I can't do this, shut up. I have no other verbose things to say. I just wrote down a couple things, and Mindy, thank you. I had no idea about any of your story. And she just said setbacks are there to show you that you can make a comeback. That was cool. And then she said the line that we use on our team all the time, we're still here. Did you guys hear that? Because you know that's kind of our hashtag. We're still here. There was a lizard on your wall. That was kind of cool for a moment. I don't know where you live, but it was crawling up, and some of us thought,
it's been living in my office for weeks, and I keep posting on my Instagram stories that this thing scared me 3 times, now 4 times this in the last 24 hours.
There's a thing. Anyway, the other thing I was really struck by is when you said, my coach, I'm looking at notes, my coach helped me get what I want. And she helped turn me into who I wanted to be. And those were huge statements. And it's a testimony to the fact that Becky asked you, what is it that you want? Not what is it that I need, that I can gain from you, but what is it that you want? That was huge. I just want to say thank you, and God bless your perseverance. Is your team called Team Relentless? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, on my wall.
That's appropriate. Oh, there you go. Okay. Guys, I hope you're encouraged by this, because, you know, we all get stuck in our stuff. We get stuck in our stuff. And I think Mindy's story is just a great picture of crawl out of your stuff already. Get out of your stuff. How many times have you gotten out of your stuff, Mindy?
More times than
There you go. Thank you so much for pumping us up today. I really appreciate it. So very much. It was great to get to know you too. So I don't know who was on the verge of tears a couple times, because I was yeah, okay. Because if you weren't, then you were not listening. That's all I'm saying. So. Thank you very much. I'm going to let my team go, because I try to keep them on 30 minutes and then tell them to go to work and apply what they just learned. But I appreciate you very, very much. My heart is very full right now. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me speak to you guys. Bye.
Thanks for being here. Take care.